What is going on, guys? Keys and Black Quarterback Series, and today I was going to do the AFC first, but doing the NFC just seems like it's the most logical thing to do. You might think the NFC is less entertaining, but it definitely is more of the conference with teams that are so much closer to each other. You see what I'm talking about. Let's get into it. NFC edition schedule release. So I'm going to give you guys the teams I'm doing. Bears, Atlanta, Lions, Panthers, Green Bay, Washington, Philly, Dallas. Just for time constraints, I decided not to do Arizona, but Arizona will be in the Black Quarterback Series. I'm just not doing them. But you can kind of see how I feel about Arizona. They come up in a lot of these teams, NFC teams, obviously. So let's get into it. So first team we're gonna start with is the Bears. So I think I'm a little higher on the Bears than most people think. Now, most people last year we thought the Bears were gonna do something crazy this year. So I think our expectations are a little tempered at this point. So I think what I have at the Bears going 9-8. I don't think that's too big of a deal. I think they're gonna beat Dallas, Vegas, Washington, Seattle, New York, Giants, Vikings, Green Bay, 49ers, Lions. I think the whole AFC North is going to split. All the big three teams in that division, I think all three of those teams are going to split. So if I mistake one of the NFC North teams, that's the real thing. So that's what that is. So in terms, they lose to the Vikings, the Lions, Baltimore, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, Eagles, Cleveland, and Green Bay. Their schedule will be up on the screen, obviously. So they can win more games or they can win less games. So I could definitely see them losing to Dallas. I could definitely see them losing to Washington. I can see them losing to any of the NFC North teams. But I could also see them beating the Vikings twice, beating the Lions twice, beating Baltimore. So it's very up in the air when it comes to the Bears. Caleb Williams just came out saying that their first season, they didn't even show him how to watch film or break any of that stuff down, which I thought was ridiculous. But on the contrary, Kurt Warner came out on Twitter and said nobody really showed him how to do film. So it just depends on the type of person that you are. If Caleb Williams is taking the offseason seriously and like going, I'm almost positive some quarterback somewhere has been like, hey, this is how you do film. This is how you do this. But he needs a veteran in that offensive room to just show him how to do things. So if somebody goes out of their way to show him how to do things, I think he'll be right and he'll be good. But the team is still not very good. So the team is still going to be up and down. So that's why I got them at 9-8. I think they'll be decent, but I don't think they'll be good enough to avoid this cluster F of NFC teams I got towards the bottom. So you'll see what I mean when I go through the rest of the team. So let's go to another NFC North team. So we're going to do the Lions. So I got the Lions as I change my thing. You see me looking over. I got my laptop right here. I got the teams all up. The things that y'all see is what I see. So I got the Lions splitting the NFC North with everybody. So got them losing to the Ravens, the Vikings, Philadelphia, Green Bay, Bears. Got them beating Green Bay, Bears, Cleveland, Cincy, KC, Bucks, Washington, New York Giants, Dallas, Rams, Pittsburgh, Vikings. So, which would leave them at 12-5. I think they'll be big dogs of the division. I think this is a fairly easy schedule, but I do think they're, as you can tell, I think they're going to lose a lot of their big games this year. But they're still, I can't believe I'm saying this. They're still the Detroit Lions, so they'll still win 10 games. They're gonna at least win 10 games. I can see them going 10-7. But my ultimate pick is I think they're gonna go 12-5. Now I do think they win the division, and it's gonna be just as much chaos in their division as I do think. But I think they're gonna be 3-4 games ahead. Not 3-4, maybe 2-3 games ahead of the Vikings. I didn't review the Vikings, but I do think the Vikings are gonna be really good also. I think they're gonna have this division locked up, and which is why I picked them at 12-4, but they can't be knocked off. Now it depends on Jared Goff and how their defense recovers from injuries. But at 12-5, I think is in reach. I think this year, I think his name is Dan Campbell. No, not Dan Campbell. The coach of the Lions. I think he's not going to be as my PlayStation talks. He's not going to be as run and gun. I'm going to go on every fourth down. And I don't think he's going to do that as much this year because ultimately that's cost them games, which cost them seeding for the most part. You can say he's still got the 1 seed, blah, blah, blah. But a lot of stuff happened last year that I think they could have had more. They could have had more wins than they actually had. So, like I said, 12-5, Detroit Lions. So, the other NFC North team, Green Bay. So, Green Bay got them beating Browns, Cincinnati, Arizona, Pittsburgh, Panthers, Giants, Lions, Bears, Vikings. The usual suspects. I think I almost got all the NFC North teams beating the same teams. So, with that Green Bay finishes 10-7. I think they're a more veteran-led team. I think the coaching staff is much better than it is with the Bears, which is going to lead them to have one more win. But I think they will have their competition will be stiffer, and they'll have enough resolve to be in more games and win more games, even if it's just one game. And I just overall think Green Bay is a better ran organization than the Bears are, so I would never pick the Bears over them. So, as you can see, I didn't do the Vikings, but if I had to pick, it'd be Detroit, it'd be the Vikings, it'd be Green Bay, and it'll be the Bears. The Bears would have almost 10 wins and still not make the playoffs. But they might be able to make the wild card in the NFC once you see how I got all the other teams stacked up. So, let's go to the Atlanta Falcons. So, with the Atlanta Falcons, Michael Penix is starting now. Michael Penix will be the starter. None to talk about. I expect them to trade Kirk Cousins. I think they're going to be in a lot more games than we think. I think people know Atlanta's defense is good. I think people know that Atlanta is good, but nobody really knows what Atlanta is, so to speak. Even with that being said, I got them going 8-9. And I say what I got them going 8-9. I think and call me crazy, I think they still have to learn how to win. So if you look at the games, I got them losing. Bucks, Vikings, Washington, Patriots, Panthers, Seahawks, Bucks. Again, I think they're going to lose to the Bucks twice. Cardinals and Rams. I think those teams are more veteran-led. I think most of those teams more or less know who they are and they know how to win. And Atlanta doesn't know that yet, especially on offense. Highly talented. I think Atlanta has a chance to win 11 games if they get their stuff together. But I don't think they're ready yet. I think they're going to be in a lot of these games. I think they mess around and lose a few of these games by average of 5 points. I think Atlanta will be in a lot of these games. They just won't know how to close them because Michael Penix is he's a winner. He's done it on the college level, but learning how to win on the professional level is a little different. And the teams that they beat, I think, are pretty inexperienced. And you got to add an upset in there at one point or another. So Panthers, Bills, 49ers, Miami, Colts, Saints, Jets, Saints. I think the Saints are going to be absolute dumpster fire. I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't win a game this year. So 8-9 going for them. And they'll be in swinging distance of the playoffs. I just don't think they'll make the playoffs. So, moving on to their NFC South foe, the Panthers. I got the Panthers going 7-10, and their fans being like, man, 7-10, that was a great season, right? Because I think the Panthers are going to be fighters. I think they're going to be fighters. They're going to be a lot of these games. They might steal some of these games. Like, for example, I don't know how the Seahawks are going to be. I also didn't do the Seahawks. I don't know what to make of the Seahawks yet. And then I have them losing to the Rams. They could theoretically beat both of those teams, theoretically. But, again, it's kind of like an Atlanta thing where they're still learning how to win. So, with that being said, I have the Panthers losing to Jacksonville, Cardinals, Patriots, Atlanta, Bills, Green Bay, 49ers, then the Rams, Bucks, Seahawks. It's pretty much the same thing I said about Atlanta. Young teams still trying to figure out how to win because the teams I have them beating are kind of on that same trajectory. I don't really know what to make of Miami. I have no idea what Miami is going to be. So you might see along in this series that I picked Miami to lose a lot. I just don't know what to make of Miami. I have no idea what Miami's going to do, especially with Tyreek Hill's future in question. I just have no idea what to make of them. And with their defense almost being non-existent, I just don't know. So I have the Panthers beating Miami, Dallas, Jets, Saints, Atlanta, Saints again, Bucks. So you see the usual suspects of eating and beating up on a bad division. So that's essentially what Atlanta and Panthers have for them. They're going to be beating up on a bad division that they play the Jets and the Saints. Those are 3 wins right there. So like the Panthers are not as bad, and they upgraded at some positions, and they had a decent draft. So I expect the Panthers to be very, very respectable next year, and Bryce Young to turn a corner because he'll actually have to represent talent to actually be to field a real football team. So last few teams. So Washington. Now Washington is going to take a step back. I think Washington is going to take a step back. I think Philly's going to run ahead of that division. We're going to talk about Philly after that. I think Philly's going to run in this division, and it's not going to be close at the end of the season. So I have Washington losing to the Chargers, the Bears, Kansas City, Lions, Denver, Vikings, Philadelphia, and Dallas. Again, another division where every team's split. Now, you might be like, Keith, that's a cop-out. I'm not going to pick a team to sweep. These teams know each other. From being a Rams fan, trust me, I know what it is when a team got your number. We were terrible, and we used to beat the 49ers. So it's like, I can't do nothing but split those. That's just the easiest way to do that. Washington is a souped-up version of Atlanta and the Panthers. They know who they are. They know what they're doing. They was in the NFC Championship game last year. They had a chance to make the Super Bowl. And so with them, it's just about replicating what they did last year. And sometimes you just can't replicate that same energy. And I think that's what happens here. Jaden has a little bit of a slip-off, but not too much of a slip-off. His offense is better than CJ's. You know what CJ's was last year? So I don't expect him to slip off that much. But I expect them to come a little bit down to the pack. But like I said, the NFC is like this close. It's so close. So some of these games are going to be really, really close. Like I think they're going to play the Lions tough and lose. I think that Bears game is a toss-up. The Dallas game is going to be a toss-up. I had to pick them to lose somewhere at the beginning. So I think the Chargers game, they could possibly snatch that game. So like with the NFC, with the NFC is very fluent, and like it was hard to put this together. You'll see in my AFC video that it's a lot easier to see where everything is, but in this NFC, it's so jumbled up. So, well, Washington, I got them winning 9 games. They'll finish the season 9-8, and be in the wild card chase. And so, last 2 teams, Philadelphia and the Cowboys. So we're gonna start with Philadelphia. So Philadelphia loses to Dallas, New York. The Chargers, Raiders, and Washington. So they don't lose. They're not going to lose very many games. So with Philadelphia, I got them going 12-5. So I got them going 12-5. I think Philadelphia's the whole where they just don't take the regular season seriously until it's time to play. I think that's kind of going to really rear its head. But they start out the gate with such top competition. I think they're going to lose to Dallas in week 1 and just be rolling after that. I think I can see them going on like a 3-1, 4-1 start, and then stumbling along the way. I think they're going to lose to Dallas, New York, the Chargers, the Raiders, and Washington. The Washington loss is not until later on in the season. So because this schedule, they have a Super Bowl winning schedule. So they're going to play a lot of the top teams. I think they lose to Dallas, but they come to play against Kansas City. So I think they beat Kansas City, they beat the Rams, they beat the Bucks, the Vikings, the Giants, Green Bay, Lions, Dallas. Dallas again. They lose. I think they lose to Dallas. Obviously early in the season. I think the first game of the ring ceremony. I think they lose that game to Dallas. And then they get back against Dallas later on in the season. And then the Bears and the Bills in Washington. The Bills game is going to be tough. That could go either way. Washington can go any way. That's why I have them splitting it. I've talked about the division splits ad nauseum this episode. So yeah. And then inevitably you lose to Dallas, the Giants, the Chargers, the Raiders, and Washington. And so that is 1, 2, 3. That's 5. Yeah. So that will leave you at 12-5. I think they've been dominant this whole time. They've been dominant for the last 4 or 5 seasons. Like they've been the gold standard. They remind me of, this is a poor example, but hopefully you get it. They're as if LeBron was winning the championship that he lost against the better division, because they're dominating this division, they're dominating this conference. I think they've been in the last 3 Super Bowls or something like that, 3 of the last 5 Super Bowls or something like that. This is a really good Philadelphia team with a great puppet master at the helm. So I got them going 12-5, another excellent season for the Philadelphia Eagles, and we'll see what their first round opponent will be, and when it's time. When it's time, you can also be like Keith. They're gonna have Super Bowl hangover, blah blah blah. That is also something that we need to be very careful of. But I just don't see Jalen and AJ and Devontae and all them boys and my guy's name is escaping me. Saquon doing that type of thing. I feel like they're just what's next. So I don't think this team's gonna have a Super Bowl hangover. I just don't think so. So I got them 12-5, winning their division by a long shot. And so the final team, Dallas Cowboys. I got Dallas going 7-10. The schedule's up on the screen. They lose 10 games, 7-10. They beat the same old with Dallas. They beat the teams they're supposed to beat. They lose against some of the teams they're supposed to beat. That's just how I see Dallas. I don't think this offense is going to be that explosive. I'm pretty much sold all my Dak Prescott stock. I think I'm done with Dak. Still gonna cover him. We're still gonna talk about Dallas, but I don't have. We know who Dak is at this point, so I'm not gonna up Dak for no reason. So the W's will be against Philly, New York Giants, Green Bay Jets, Arizona, Vegas, and the Giants. So as you can see, they feasting on really bad teams, and then the home opener against Philly. The home opener against Philly is going to be their best win of the year, and they're going to look like a completely different team that night against Philly versus the rest of the season. That's just how Dallas is. And then if you look at the schedule by process elimination, they're going to lose games they should beat. They should beat the Bears. They should beat the Panthers. I think honestly they should beat Washington, but I don't think those are teams they're gonna beat. I think they're gonna get swept by Washington. I think they're gonna get dominated by Kansas City. They're gonna get dominated by LA. Or not LA, the Lions. I just don't think those teams can hang with them. I don't think that Dallas can hang with them. Because it's the have and have nots in the NFC. You got teams like the Lions and Philadelphia, and then it's the rest of the pack. It's the rest of the pack. It's the supremacy in the NFC is, for me, it's crazy. I didn't even talk about Arizona and how up and down they'll be. How should we even believe in Kyler Murray at this point? I think we're going into year 3 or 4 of Kyler Murray. What are we going to get with Kyler Murray? Is it Kyler Murray being overpaid just like Dak being paid? Like, we didn't even talk about the Vikings. The Vikings is in that top 3 of NFC supremacy. I think it's probably going to be the Lions, Philadelphia, and the Vikings as the top 3 seeds. Like, we don't know. Like, but those 3 teams for sure are going to be there. And who knows if the Vikings are going to be there because of their quarterback. So yeah, that's what I got for the NFC. It was a lot of work to go through the NFC, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Let me know what you guys think about the NFC schedule release, and if you want, this is one of your teams. Let me know what you guys doing, because the media I see is different from the media y'all see. What are people talking about in Atlanta, so to speak? I know what people are talking about in Dallas. What are people talking about in Washington? Chicago. Shout out to my Chicago brothers. Like, it's yeah. And before I get up this video, I want to send my condolences to everybody what we're going through in St. Louis with these terrible storm we had. I think a few days ago. I can't remember what day it was. I think it was Friday. That terrible storm we had Friday. I was actually outside when it happened. I was sitting at the bus stop waiting. I was in the Metrolink, coming home, and it was really, really, really dark. And then all of a sudden, just boom, storm came and hail came and all this other crazy stuff. It was crazy. The Metrolink shut down. I had to call a ride. It was insane. And so prayers to everybody who's going through that. Let me know if anybody sees this, if y'all want me to promote anything about that. I said it'll be okay. Hold these officials accountable to help you out with that. So that's all I got for you guys. I'll see y'all tomorrow for the AFC version of this. Peace.